Mike Desormeaux is heading into his 4th season as head coach of the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. But for the first time, really doesn't have a quarterback battle going into fall camp. It's going to be Walker Howard. But Howard, highly touted coming out of high school, locally in Lafayette, hasn't played a whole lot of football over the last 3 years. Let's talk about it on Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Time to talk Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. They were last that I talked at Sunbelt Media Days. They wrap up the West. We will do Sunbelt Commissioner Keith Gill on Friday and then head east, and we will start them on Monday. Desormeaux brought in longtime offensive lineman Jax Harrington and safety Tyree Skipper. They're kind of the leftovers from the Billy Napier days. The talent has basically turned over from the Napier days. This kind of feels like it is the first kind of team of Mike Desormeaux's talent, although they did lose a lot of players even in that first year when Mike Desormeaux took over. So we talk Walker Howard. He's going to be the quarterback, of course. But at the same time, also, it is opening up a new stadium and how big a deal that is. We also bring up, these are the glory days of Ragin Cajuns football, going back to Mark Hudspeth and Billy Napier and Mike Desormeaux. Since like 2011, they've only not gone to a bowl game twice. And they have a Sun Belt championship in there as well. Do the fans appreciate it, but always seeming to wanting more. It's never quite good enough. So we talked to Mike Desormeaux. We talked to offensive lineman Jax Harrington. There could be 2 NFL players from the small town of Erath, Louisiana, come the 2026 season. And we talked to Tyree Skipper. They're all from the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns, and they are all Locked On Sunbelt.
Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Dave Schultz back at Sunbelt Media Days 2025 with our old buddy Mike Desormeaux, head coach of the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns, heading into year number 4 as the head man, coming off a Western Division championship game lost to the Marshall Thundering Herd. I'm going to say this. Let's see what your sentiment is. This kind of feels like this is going to be the first year that it kind of feels like it's Mike Desormeaux's Ragin Cajuns. Kind of felt like for the last 3 years, and maybe it's just the quarterback. It could just be me. That it was Napier's squad with the players there. Outside of maybe the 2 guys that are sitting here, most of Napier's, if not all of them, are all gone. And maybe that's just because of the quarterback. I don't know, because Ben and Chandler were there for the previous guys. Is that sentiment right, or do I have that wrong? It just feels like the talent has turned over completely now, and it's all Mike Desormeaux's guys for 2025.
I don't know. I mean, it's never felt that way to me because I think we've gone through so much together. I think when you go through really hard things, I think that's what galvanizes you, and it makes you a team, and it makes you close. And, we went through struggles, from the beginning of it. And, look, a lot of those guys, Coach Nape signed a lot of the players that were here, really the last few years, as the head coach. But, I've never really felt that way, I guess, because I've always felt like I was a part of it.
Sure.
Year
realistically,
10,
actually, right?
Yeah,
you've been there for a long time.
Yeah, I just kind of always felt like I've been a part of it. It's never really about if it's mine or his. To me, it never was. It's always just been about trying to represent the brand and trying to make people proud of the way we do it.
Well, and represent the brand that you do, because you played for the brand. You play.
Sure.
You had it on. Not only Desormeaux on the back, but Louisiana on the front. Maybe one of the only guys in the league to do so. Right? Everybody else comes from the outside. So what does it mean to coach your hometown team and your alma mater?
Well, I think it's more than just a job. When it's like that, it's everything's personal and look, the reality of it. And I said this before. Between Coach Bustle and then Coach Hud and then Coach Napier, all 3 of those guys have left it better than they found it. They've advanced the program. That's a heck of a step, to have to take in a big task to task to be charged with. But the reality is that that's what we want. We want UL to be a consistent contender, and I want us to be back in the top 25, and I want us to be winning Sun Belt Conference championships. And, to me, it's a very personal thing. And I think the players probably know that and can feel that. But it's personal to them. You know, I mean, that this is their home too. And for those guys, you know, in 15 years or whatever it is, that they'll feel like I do about the place.
I mean, it really is a golden age of Ragin' Cajuns football since I got there. From 2011 to now, I mean, only a couple of years there's been no postseason play. You've been to a bowl game every year, right? Your first victory as a Ragin' Cajun head coach was a bowl game. All right. Yeah. You Levi Lewis, the Marshall Thundering Herd. Yep. And so when you don't get to a bowl game, win or lose, it's a disappointment. And so, is that apparent to the program that it is kind of you're in the middle of this resurgence of Ragin' Cajuns football? Yeah. And maybe the fans don't. Maybe that's what the point is. Maybe the fans don't appreciate it as much as they should, because before HUD got there, there weren't 9-win seasons. There weren't bowl games. There weren't Sun Belt championships. And even when he was there, there wasn't Sun Belt championships. There's been 2 Sun Belt championships. You know, Napier won one, and you just played in one.
I don't want to speak for the fans. I know we're grateful for expectations, though, truthfully. It's fun to be a part of something that people are interested in. It's fun to be a part of something that people are excited about. And it's a blessing, you know, to be in a position where they have those expectations. I think it fuels you. And, you know, the reality, though, is no one can put more pressure on us than us, or have more expectations for us than we do. And that's the reality of it. And, you know, it's fun to be a part of this thing right now, but we don't want this to be the golden age. We want this to be a huge stepping stone to getting there. We want it to continue to improve and elevate.
Talking to Mike Desormeaux, head coach of Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns, Locked On Sun Belt, your teams every day. All right, before we get on the field, how have you changed as a head coach? Because obviously, you know, probably head was spinning despite, you know, not telling me, although I saw you before the conference championship game. He said, "Hi, Dave. How you doing?" I said, "Hi, coach. Who's going to be head coach?" You just said, walked away. You didn't tell me. Not that I'm going to hold that against you any
Appreciate
longer.
It.
But, you know, your head was spinning, you know, players leaving, coaches leaving, and you had to rebuild and everything along those lines. So now you're going into year 4. It appears you have your quarterback. I'm sure there's a quarterback battle. But, you know, where do you think you have, for lack of a better term, matured as a head coach?
Well, you know, the first year you do anything, there's always, I mean, every day you're learning, you know, and especially the time when I got the job, it was the first off season where the NIL and portal were a thing at the same time. There was no blueprint to follow. You had to determine what approach you were going to take to build and rebuild your team. And you had to have conviction in it. And, you know, we made a decision early on that, hey, listen, we're building this for the long term. We're going to do it with high school kids, use the portal as needed. And the first year, truthfully, probably didn't use it as much as I should have. You know, and that's, you know, that's part of growing up a little bit and evolving your approach to it. Because I think I put us in a position where we didn't quite have enough. And I don't know if we could have completely rebuilt it the way we wanted, but I could have done a better job for a team that year. And we settled into something that really works for us. You know, we replace seniors with high school kids. And then we replace in the portal as we need when we lose an older guy and something where we think there's a hole and we need it. You know, I've tried to be really, I've tried to be very, you know, flexible in looking at change and changing the way we do things. You know, even the format that I felt obviously worked with Coach Napier, we changed a lot of it. Fall camp, the way we practice, the way we have off days, the way we cycle the practice tiers and all these things that we do, it was something I felt like we really needed. And it was something I felt like has helped our team over the course of the last 2 years really kind of continue to stay healthy and develop and get better as the year goes on. So, you know, it's just, you know, Coach Nate told me this when he left. He said, "Hey, man, you got to do it your way." And it was hard for me the first year because what we did worked. And I was worried about going in that team room and saying, "Hey, we're changing these things that maybe those guys believed in and maybe didn't get the results you want." And then after the first year, it was like, you know what? I have to do it the way I want to do it, or I'll regret if it doesn't work out forever. And, you know, it's just part of maturing and growing up. And I think in any role you're in, you have to do that.
All right, let's take a time out. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with the head coach of the Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns, Mike Desormeaux. We talk about his recruiting of Walker Howard, quarterback from STM that's now playing in his hometown of the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. And we talk about the guys he brought to media days. We talk about offensive lineman Jax Harrington and safety Tyree Skipper. We do that after I tell you a little bit about Drip Drop. If you're trying to stay on top of your routine, whether that's workouts, long days on campus, or staying focused through back-to-back classes, hydration is where it all starts, and that's where Drip Drop comes in. Drip Drop is doctor-developed and scientifically proven for fast hydration. It uses the perfect balance of sodium electrolytes and glucose to help your body absorb fluids quickly and delivering 3 times the electrolytes and half the sugar of the leading sports drink. So it's very hot these days in Louisville, and I'm giving tours inside the warehouse. As you can imagine, it gets incredibly hot, and not only am I staying hydrated just drinking water, but I'm adding Drip Drop and staying hydrated with that. So it has been a big help to me at work. Right now, Drip Drop is offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first order. Just head to dripdrop.com and use code LOCKEDONCollege. That's dripdrop.com, promo code LOCKEDONCollege for 20% off. Stock up now before the heat hits hard. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Let's continue the conversation with the head coach of the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns, Mike Desormeaux, and on how he went about recruiting Lafayette, a local product, STM grad, Walker Howard.
We're talking with Mike Desormeaux, head coach of the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. All right, let's talk about on the field. I'm going to say his name wrong because his name is backwards. So he'll be Howard Walker a few times on this podcast, but he's Walker Howard. How did we go about getting, the I don't know about local legend, but the local high school product out of STM?
Well, I don't, very few things are easy in college football. And that was one of them that kind of was. The reality, we have 2 really good young quarterbacks in that room that we really like a lot. They're just really young. And I feel like we have a chance to have a really good football team, and felt like maybe there was a little bit of gap there with not having an older quarterback that we were confident could win the job. And, when he went in the portal, I've known Walker a long time.
Yeah, probably do.
My dad coached in middle school. So, I picked up the phone and I called him and I said, "Hey, look, what are you trying to do?" And he said, "I want to come to UL if you'll have me." And I said, "Is that what you want to do?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "If you say yes," he said, "I'm coming." And so that was pretty much how it happened. I think he was ready for something different. He chased it for a little bit, and I think, didn't go the way he wanted to. And coming back home is something that comes with challenges too, with the expectations people have for him and all that stuff. But I think he's handled it really well. I think the first thing he did was just try to be one of the guys and just go to work, earn respect by working really hard. And I think he's been a good thing for our team. In the quarterback room, he's been great with those young guys. He's got a great sense of humor, doesn't take himself too seriously, focuses when it's time to, and he is one heck of a competitor. And, this spring we made the quarterbacks live. And that's something that, to me, I felt like my teammates respected me because of the way I played when it was real football and I wasn't back there in a gray jersey. And you put all 3 of those guys in red jerseys and say, "All right, let's go." And that's what I wanted their teammates to see. Like, part of being that quarterback position, you have to display elite toughness one day a week. Everybody else has to do it, Sunday through Saturday. One day a week, you have to be elite tough. And with 3 really good quarterback options, I said, well, let's go see who's going to be tough and who's going to, get the football moving and excite their teammates. And I think he embraced that a little bit, and that was fun to see.
All right, so I only make this comparison mostly for the time off, but it may be Louisiana-esque. All right, so there's no pressure on winning a Heisman or national championship, but it's very Joe Burrow-esque because he hasn't played football for 3 years. So we don't know how good he is. Obviously, we're going from an 18-year-old to a 22-year-old or something like that. So how rusty is he? You know, we just haven't seen him play football since he played for STM. He hasn't played very much for LSU or Ole Miss at all.
Yeah.
How did he look in spring?
He didn't look very rusty. No, but realistically, that was part of making him live. You know, it's not just him. I mean, him, you know, Lunch hasn't really played a whole lot of quarterback live. You know, Daniel got a little taste of it last year. But I think that was a big part of it was, you know, you got to let the guy get hit. I mean, he hadn't been hit in 3 years. Right. And, you know, the reality of the football game is that on Saturdays that they're going to be trying to kill the quarterback. Right. And, you know, so that was all part of it. But, no, he's tremendously talented. I think he brings a really he brings an element in the run game that is really good for us. You know, he can get himself out of trouble. He can hurt you with his legs. And I don't know how, you know, he brings toughness. And at that position, man, I mean, that is to me the premium number one thing. You know, Ben Woldridge wasn't a quote unquote runner, but that dude was tough as nails. And the whole team knew that. And whenever it was on the line and he had to get it, he was going to get it. And, you know, that's to me that's what your teammates have to see.
We're talking with Mike Desormeaux, head coach of Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, so since I've been covering the Cajuns and probably a little bit before that, it's run the football, right? It's always been really good running backs behind the quarterback, and that has a lot to do with what has been a very good offensive line. I guess one guy is back, and he's sitting across the table for me. Two guys are back. One of them is back. One of them is across the table for you. So who is filling in where the experience was?
Well, you know, I'll start with, you know, Bryant Williams, I guess, is not considered a starter last year, but he played 50% of every game, you know. Oh, okay. And yeah, you know, I mean, which I get it, but played really well for us. And he's taken a big step forward. You know, he's grown up a whole lot. You know, Caden Morrow last year played in every single game we had at guard. Opposite, started 2 of them. You know, so he's got some experience in there, and he had a really good off season. Cooper Fordham, as a true freshman, had to start 4 games for us when Landon got hurt. Played really well, played some last year. So that's our starting 5 right now going into fall camp. You know, really excited about some of these young tackles we have, which I think gives us a chance to move George around a little bit, inside and out. You know, Zay Alexander, who's coming off of an injury in spring, Jamarian Gooch, John Bragg, you know, those guys I think are ready now. And then, you know, Mackie Malo and Matt Broussard inside, or 2 more guys that, you know, they've really done a great job in continuing to work and develop, and they're ready to go play too. So it's that group up front, I think it's going to be as deep as we've been in a long time. I think it's got a chance to be, you know, one of the best units we've had up there, and that's certainly, I don't say that lightly, but I think it's a group that can really be a game changer for us, and needs to be.
Are we still running the football to open up the pass, or are we passing the football to open up the run?
It will always start with the run game, right? And you know, I think at some point in the game, to win the game, you have to be able to run the football, and you have to be able to stop the run. And that is never going to change. And, you know, for us, it always starts in our game planning around the run game that we like. You know, I think those receivers this year, Rob and Shelton and Kadarius and Raji and Charles and all those guys, I think the better they play, the more it'll help us in the run game. You know, take the extra hat out of there to go play coverage. But at some point in the game, you got to be able to run the football, and that's where it has to start.
All right, when I'm yelling at the TV screen to throw it to the tight end, who's going to be catching the football?
Well, hopefully a couple of them. No, look, Caden Jensen, man, had a phenomenal year last year. As a freshman, was really, really good for us. He's grown up, and as a redshirt freshman or sophomore now, it's really unique that he's in the leadership role in that room. But he's done a great job in that. You know, you add Brock Chappell and you add Trey Miller to the mix, you know, because we lost a couple older tight ends that played really good for us. Yeah. You got a really good group there that has a lot of experience. Now, even though Trey and Brock haven't played for us, they played a lot of college football. Then behind them, you know, Teddy Golick is going to be a good football player. The 2 freshmen that we just added, you know, and McIntrush and Quandre, they're going to be good ball players. We moved Emiliano from outside backer, linebacker to tight end. He's going to have a role for us in there. You know, toughness, man. He goes in there and goes and mix it up. So we got a group of guys at tight end that we're excited about. And, you know, really, I think, you know, can really help us in the throw game as well in the run game. I think hopefully we'll be a little better in the run game at that position too.
All right, one of the keys that, people don't worry about it until it happens. You got to replace the Cajuns' all-time leading scorer, Kenny Almendaris.
Yeah.
Who's doing that?
Well,
I mean, that guy was as clutch as it can be.
I agree. Yeah.
Making the AD fall on his face a couple of times.
He's done that multiple times in his career. Yeah, look, the reality of it is that's big shoes to fill,
Yeah.
And Logan Klotz and Tony Sterner have been here for a couple of years, and they've seen Kenny operate. They've seen the way he's going about it. We added Breck Schultz. All three of those guys are sharing equal kicks right now. And, we've got to do a good job putting them in some pressure situations in fall camp, making them make kicks in front of their team. Kenny wasn't always the Lou Groza Award winner, He had to go through things, and he had to develop his confidence.
He missed
and he had
4
to earn
kicks
respect.
last year. He missed a total of 4, 1 extra point and 3 field goals.
And I don't know if any of the field goals were under
Less than
50.
50.
I think they were all over 50.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
3 of his
impressive.
misses were 50 plus. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Or all 3 of his field goal misses were 50 plus.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Good luck to the next kicker.
Yeah, big shoes to fill.
Yeah. All right. He is Mike Desormeaux. He is the head coach of the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. Tell us about the 2 players you brought with you, Jax Harrington, who, like Devin Voisin over at South Alabama, they're going to build a wing or name a bathroom stall after him because he's been there forever.
Yeah, that's probably be well deserved. No, it's Jax is someone who I have a lot of respect for. When he committed here, it was a really good get for us and someone we're really excited about. And he came in, and early on, there was a lot of promise, and he had to go through some difficult things early on in his career. His true freshman year, he was playing, got hurt, ended up redshirting. He got COVID. He had another injury that took him out for the rest of the year. He had to go through those things, and really to see Jax grow up as much as he has to the leader that he is today. I think it's unquestioned that the guys respect him. They look to him. Always looking to see how he's thinking and how he's feeling. And certainly, he's the centerpiece on that offensive line right now. He and George are the 2 that have played. They've been in the fire. They've been through it all. And they're guys that, for us, can't replace those types of guys.
Population in 2020 of Erath, Louisiana is 2,030. Come a year from now, you could have 2 players from Erath, Louisiana in the NFL. That's insane. He could follow his high school teammate Elijah Mitchell into the NFL.
That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? That means we got 2 good ones out of there.
That means you got to go back to recruit Erath.
Yeah, we got to find some more. You're right.
He's Mike Desormeaux. He is the head coach of the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns, and he is locked on Sun Belt. Thank you so much, Coach. Always great catching up with you. Best of luck.
Thanks, Dave.
Let's take a timeout. We'll come back. We'll continue our conversation with the players from the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns, offensive lineman Jax Harrington, and safety Tyree Skipper. We'll do that after I thank you. All right, continued thanks throughout the summer. It has been a wild ride. We're just about starting training camp. All right, we're there. Football season is just about underway. NFL is getting underway. I think today, right? Hall of Fame game is kicking off tonight. So football training camp for colleges aren't too far off, and the season is basically here. So we will continue with the commissioner of the Sun Belt tomorrow, Keith Gill, and all of the East previews will go on for the next week plus. So I appreciate your patience and your support. Thank you so much. Apple Podcasts and Spotify, we will have over 8,000 downloads with that for the month. So that is a lot for the Sun Belt. I know it may not compare to the other conferences and other podcasts, but it is a lot for us. It is more than a double, almost triple what we had in, say, the month of April. So really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Please continue to support the podcast. Do appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Dave Schultz, locked on Sun Belt, your teams every day. Let's wrap up our conversation with the players from the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. Offensive lineman Jax Harrington could end up having 2 players from small Erath, Louisiana. Jax Harrington could follow in the footsteps of his high school teammate Elijah Mitchell, the running back, and Louisiana safety Tyree Skipper holding down the defense. Cajuns are picked again to finish first in the West. Let's talk to offensive lineman Jax Harrington and safety Tyree Skipper as they are locked on Sunbelt.
Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. We're here with the guys from the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns, Jax Harrington and Tyree Skipper. Let's start off with Jax. You've been there for a long time, from Napier to now Mike Desormeaux. Do we have a nickname? Are they calling you Grandpa? What are the players calling you?
I get Unk sometimes.
You get Unk?
I get OG. I get a bunch of different things.
Do we have a preference? Because OG is a pretty good nickname.
Yeah. I like both of them. I wear both those names with pride.
All right, that's pretty good. Are we healthy heading into the season?
Yes.
That's what Cajuns fans care about.
Yes, healthy right now.
All right, so what position are we playing now?
Right now, I'm still at right guard.
We are going on the inside. Okay. And I mean, you got as a starting right guard, and you hear your head coach saying, "We start with the run." I mean, I think I saw your eyes pop out of your head. You gotta like you hearing that when you're hearing that. And who do we have running behind you? I mean, Bill Davis comes to mind. Who else is behind you guys? Silent Perry.
I think those two will be a good 1-2 punch.
You think so?
Yes.
All right. And then he's saying the quarterback, we're going to run a little bit more. It seems like maybe that's going to be part of the offense. I don't think there was too many running plays with Ben, although once in a while he would take it around the edge. Maybe a little, I'm going to say kind of like Joe Burrow, that, he'll faster than he looks.
He'll take a wide open zone read for the perfect 5 yards.
That's a shot.
No, that's exactly what we needed.
What's it been like playing for the Ragin Cajuns? Because again, this is the I know Dez's first couple of years were kind of average, kind of finishing 500, but winning 10 games, and maybe we don't make enough about it because it was with a backup quarterback, right? It was with Chandler. He was thrown to wolves a couple years ago against Arkansas State. Actually, I think he completed like a 3rd and 14 in rain. I know, although that drive ended up on an interception, I believe. But nonetheless, Chandler, the backup quarterback, leads the team into the conference championship game. What was it like last year? Ben was headed towards the player of the year. Michael Green won it, deservedly so, for Marshall. But what was like, seeing all of that fruitful work come to fruition?
Oh, it was nice because I've been here. I was with Chandler since we got here, true freshman, and so whenever
high school teammates with like Jamar Chase.
Yeah. Whenever Ben transferred in 2021, I think they always had like a healthy battle for that number 2 spot, and they kind of always competed in that aspect. But they were 2 different players, and I know it ended up kind of going Ben's way, but Chandler was the ultimate teammate. And so whenever when things like that happen, whenever Chandler needed to step in, there was no hesitation, that we knew that, this guy could do it just as well, and whenever he came in, he transformed our offense. Whenever he came in, the offense was now open to different things, and we could launch the ball 60, 70 yards downfield because he had that kind of arm, and he brought that big play, and it was fun playing with, it was really fun playing with both those guys, and it was real fun.
And so what's it like when you see, now you got a new stadium? All right. I mean, we didn't even talk about that with Dez. Now the pressure is not only to win, but now you got to pack the stadium. Now you're going to be playing in front of a full house.
Yeah, it's real cool because you think we're going to be starting off a new era of in Cajun country. So, I really hope we could pack that thing out first game so that they can come out and see what we're all about. And I think just going to the first game, I think they'll be sticking around for the rest of the season, just for the show that we're going to put on.
Now, aesthetically, it's going to look better. Because the TV angle is going to be from the opposite point of view,
right?
Because the temporary press box is going to be on where the students are, and so it's going to be facing, the cameras are going to be facing where all the money people are, and the new seating, and that is where usually it's sold out.
Right.
So even if it isn't quote sold out, it's going to look sold out. So at least it's going to look good.
Right.
Hashtag always a bright side. Right. All right. So where do we look? What we're talking with Jax Harrington with Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. Where have you improved? Heading into your final season. It is your final season, right? You can't come back for 4 more or anything like that. That's it. All right. Where have you improved, and where would you like to still get better heading into your final season?
You improve on the field and workouts and strength and stuff like that all the time. And you'll never be perfect, and I'll always think that I can improve more. But my leadership and my just as the O-line gets better, I feel like I'm getting better just because, I'm teaching these guys the tricks of the trade that were passed down to me by Max Mitchell and Robert Hunt, Kevin Dotson, stuff like that. So I think the way I've improved is as the O-line, and because 5 equals 1, and I live by that.
NFL,
Yeah.
NFL.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. All right, let's bring in Tyree Skipper, defense for the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. A lot of times it comes down to, getting that last stop, right? I mean, it's not necessarily, that offense went and got the points with 4 minutes left to go, and you got to get off the field. How do you do that? Because a lot of times it's really difficult to make that stop. Sometimes it looks easy, right? You go 3 and out, no problem. But how do you get that last stop when you got to get off the field to preserve that win?
I mean, adversity, man. Adversity. We as a defense, we live for those tough times, man. That's when we come into play and we get those moments at practice. 2 minutes, man. Offense, they be cheating. They be cheating. We used to them cheating, so we just put our back against the wall every time, and we just overcome that adversity. And we excel.
How are they cheating?
Man.
Are you telling me you're telling me right here? He's sitting right next to Jax Harrington is holding on every single play.
So sometimes 2 minutes we sack the quarterback, they still let the quarterback throw a touchdown, man. That's how they be cheating.
Sometimes they pass interference and they don't call it.
There you go. How have you improved? You have a bunch of interceptions.
Yeah.
How many you got?
Career total or just like from last year? Probably like 7, 8.
He knows exactly how many.
I'm coming back, man.
Here's the thing about athletes. I've been covering for 20 years. You guys remember every single play. I can go back to 10 years old, and you still remember the guy who beat you for a touchdown, and you remember the pick six that you had
for sure
the same year. Absolutely. All right. So, where have you improved your game since you've entered college?
My game, just like my game. This is our second year in the defense, so just like playing fast and running through the gaps, man. Just realizing what the offense is going to run before they run it, man.
So how long does it take it is the second year with defense. How long does it take to change defense? Because you would think it wouldn't take that long because you're just kind of still just running the ball. And I mean, it can be a different play, different quote defensive scheme. It's still C-ball. Tech. Right?
Absolutely.
So how long does it take before you're thinking about it compared to just reacting to it?
It's just the process of within a week, man. Just your film study and your preparation and your focus and just being confident in your preparation. That's really it.
We're talking with Tyree Skipper, Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. All right, you guys were picked first in the Sun Belt. Again, I think that has to do with Mike Desormeaux and has to do with Walker Howard. Because I'm not sure why, because again, Gio Lopez is gone. Otherwise, I probably would have had him and maybe others. Arkansas State has Jalen Rayner coming back, but maybe defensively they're not so good. How much pressure is that for you guys to repeat?
I mean, it's not even pressure. Like we pressure is a privilege, man. So like we gonna use this.
That's a t-shirt, Jax. Put it on a t-shirt. Pressure is a privilege. There you go.
Go
ahead, finish up. No, finish up.
Pressure is a privilege, man. Like I said, man. So like we gonna embrace this and we gonna carry this momentum on into fall camp, and it's gonna just bring us closer. And we know we wasn't back in the day, we wasn't first to win the West, so we know how to feel to not be picked. So we go keep that in our mind too. So we go,
that's right. Not pick last year,
yeah.
So pick this year to win. All right, so that could be a motivating factor. Saying
we've been down before, so we gonna keep that in mind.
All right. So have a chance to go play that SEC team. It's not exactly Alabama. It's not Georgia. All right, but Mizzou is coming off a 10-win season. He's not going to, look past the Sun Belt team. Eli Drinkowitz has coached App State. He knows what the Sun Belt was all about. You guys aren't going to sneak up on Missouri. How do you go into Columbia and get a win?
I mean, we just gonna come in there, work hard. We're gonna give them a fight like we always do, man. We're just gonna give them a run for their money, man.
Tough, hard-nosed.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, he's Jax Harrington. He's Tyree Skipper. Tyree, how do we plan on carrying Jax Harrington off on your shoulders on his final game off the Cajun field? Hold on. Let's ask a better question. How many defensive backs is going to take to do that?
Yeah, about all 11 of us. You're going to need some linebackers too. Not going to lie. Might need a coach to help us, man. I don't know.
He's Jax Harrington. He's Tyree Skipper. They're the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns, and they are Locked On Sunbelt. Thanks for hopping on the podcast, guys. Best of luck this season. Thank you so much.
Yeah, appreciate y'all, man.